Hi everyone, so in this first video I just want to talk about opening up files in Photoshop and a little bit about the interface. So Photoshop does come in a variety of shapes and sizes, meaning that it depends on when you got your last update, if you have the most recent update, what your interface may look like. Now I just recently updated my Photoshop to 2017, so this should be the latest look. You may have something that is slightly different, but in general everything is the same, maybe just some slight differences of navigation. When you first open up Photoshop, if you have 2017, it opens up to this panel where you have an option to create a new document right away or open existing files, and it also shows you the last documents that you had open, so you can see everything I had open recently. So for your first project, I've asked you to go out and take some pictures, look in your environment for point, and look in your environment for line, and to capture those. So I'm assuming that you have those on an SD card, you've put the SD card into your computer, maybe you've transferred them from your SD card to a folder called graphic design, assignment, point, line, something like that. That's what I would recommend just for your organization. And at this point you're ready, and you've opened up Photoshop to bring the images into Photoshop. So we're going to go to Open and browse for your folder where you've put them. So I have mine in a folder graphic design, and I've called it point line images, and I'm going to click on the first one, hold the shift key down, and click on the last one, and that selects all of them so they can all open up at the same time. And I click open, and they're all opening up, and notice they're all opening up in their own individual tabs up here at the top. So let's give it a second to open up all of them. Okay, I think they're all open. So I just want to briefly go over the interface of Photoshop. If you have an older update, an older version of Photoshop, and you wanted to open files, you would go up to the top, File, Open. And you can still do that. When I do File Open now, I get my browser interface over here. So where I click again and say Open. If this was the older version of Photoshop, this would just take you to your browser interface of your computer. Close that. So what we have over here is the toolbar, and if you want to take a moment and just go through all of these and notice the ones that have arrows actually have more tools embedded in them. So the first group is our selection group, and then we have our crop tool, and these tools are about editing, cloning, retouching, and then we have some painting tools, some blurring tools, our text tool, shape tools, things that deal with vectors, a hand tool to navigate, and our zoom tool. Down here at the bottom you have your color palette, so if I want to change the color that my text will come in, or my paintbrush will come in, or my pen, I click on the first color box there, that's my color picker, and it opens up a color picker window. This is a two-step process. I can slide along here to choose a different range of hues, and then I click in to the box over here to give me the color that I want, and you can see it appearing over here. I'll just click OK, and so you can see that now that's my foreground color. So anything I would paint with would come out this color. So besides the tools over here, they all work with what we have up here. It's called the options bar. And you're going to see that this is pretty much the same format that you have once you get over into Illustrator as well. So for example, if I wanted to take my paintbrush tool, and I've already selected a color, I could go up here and I could change some of the default settings in the options bar. So for example, I could change the opacity at which I paint. I could paint at 50% or 35%. And I'm now painting onto my image. I could also change my brush. I'm going to take a larger brush, make it larger, and so on and so forth. So all of these tools, whenever you click on one of these tools, you can look up in the options bar, and whenever we're going to be using one of these tools for an exercise, I will go through what it specifically can do. But at this moment I just want you guys to kind of look, if you've never looked at Photoshop before, take a minute and look at Photoshop. So click on a tool and notice, okay, I can go up here if I'm with the text tool to change the font, the alignment, and the colors. Up here in our main menu, so under File, it's all the things that you would expect: Open, Save, New. under Edit, most of these things I'm going to encourage you to learn by keyboard shortcuts. Under Image, we will be going to Adjustments. That's where you can adjust through the color and the tones of the image. We'll also be looking at image size and canvas size and image rotation. Under Layer, a lot of the things that are here in Layer we'll actually be doing directly through the Layers panel. Type, so more options that you have here for type. Under Select, these are things that you could be doing through the selection tools or keyboard shortcuts. So we won't be doing too much over here. Filters, it's a little bit more of like a play area, but some of the good filters are sharpening filters and sometimes even the blur filters. 3D we will not be working with. And under View, that's where you can go if you don't see your rulers, you need to see your rulers, or you want to see guides, and I'll be going over those for this first project. Under Window, this shows you all of the possible panels that you could have for Photoshop, and the ones that are checked are the ones that are currently open. So one of the ones that I would like to talk about is the History panel. I'm going to click on that, and that opens up over here, and when it's docked, it has this little icon. I'm going to open it again by clicking on the icon and open up my History panel, and it shows me all of the last steps I did. So in Photoshop, if you're used to doing Control-Z or Command-Z on a Mac to undo, you can only do that once. If you want to do that more, then you need to go through the History panel. So for example, I'll just go back to my brush, and I'll add some more brush strokes on top of this, and I'll add some text. And if you notice in the History panel, that was very small so you can barely see it, in the History panel it is recording every step that I make on top of my image. So if I want to undo those, I'm going to click on the name of the step, so brush tool, and I'm now just got rid of my type step, the next brush one, and I'm just going to keep going back. I also could jump around. I don't have to go in order. If I just know I want to get back to the way this looked when I opened, I could click on the open, and it's going to take me all the way back. So I almost always work with the History panel open. Okay, and then over here we have the Layers panel, and we'll definitely be talking about those once we get started on our project. All right, so that's just a basic overview of opening your images in Photoshop and a little bit about the interface. We'll go over the specific tools in the next video.